Hello and welcome to my monthly update of Russian Focus. This month I'd like to start with a look at President Putin and President Zelensky's New Year speeches. President Zelensky's New Year speech in 2023 focused on the war, the country unity and resilience of a people, but also hope that in the new year there would be peace. In sharp contrast, there is no hope of peace being achieved in the near future in the 2024 speech. The focus is firmly on the war and the strength of Ukrainians. President Zelensky uses the word strong or stronger when referring to Ukraine and her people a total of 33 times in his speech. President Putin's New Year speech in 2023 focused on the war too, and in the background he had servicemen and women. But in 2024 New Year speech, he focuses on the unity of Russia, the strength of the people, and the value of family. And the background is the Kremlin. This speech speaks of Russia as the great power, the unity and resourcefulness of her people, and romanticizes ideas of altruism, heroism, patriotism, and national pride. In the meantime, both sides are shelling each other's. There is a clear difference in the tone between the two speeches. Ukraine is engaged in a large-scale war and fighting for its survival. Russia is engaged in a local conflict, but as usual there is more to it. This is presidential election year in Russia. Ukraine was due to go to the polls as well in 2024, but it became clear that trying to run elections this year would be a logistical nightmare, not to mention a quick way to paint a massive target on the back of anyone involved in politics in Ukraine. So although I'm very much in favor of elections, on this occasion I think Kiev's decision to postpone elections was a very wise one. But elections are coming to Russia, and although the smart money, and actually anybody's money, is on Putin being re-elected, it's worth having a look at the other candidates. Aside from the usual suspects, there are a few interesting new faces, but let's get the usual suspects out of the way first. First is Nikolai Kharitonov. He is an old pair of hands. He is the candidate for the Communist Party of the Russian Federation. He ran previously in 2004 presidential elections, but it has to be said that the Communist Party finds itself aligned with the Kremlin via shared ideologies of patriotism and nationalism. Mr. Kharitonov is 75 years old and has been into politics since Soviet times. Sergei Baburin is the candidate for the Nationalist Party, the Russia All People's Party. He ran for president in 2018. He believes that Ukraine is a threat to Russia and should be obliterated. He is 64 years old. Andrei Bogdanov. He is the founder of the Russian Party of Freedom and Justice, officially a center-left party. Before that, he was the leader of the Democratic Party of Russia, which was disbanded and then reformed in 2012. He tried to run before in 2018, but failed to produce the necessary paperwork in time. He is considered by some a Kremlin shill, by others he is called a political strategist. Take your pick. Interestingly, in a country that views Masons with extreme suspicion, Mr. Bogdanov is a relatively successful politician, as well as the Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Russia, and he's 53 years old. The next one on the list is Sergei Marinkovich, and he is an interesting character. He believes that Yetis exist and they live in the Altai Krai region. His ideology is communist, but he supports the military operation in Ukraine. And for the sake of the unity of the country, he supports Mr. Putin and, of course, the war in Ukraine. He is 48 years old, and this is his first time running for president. Next on the list is Boris Nadezhdin, Civic Initiative. He openly criticizes Putin. He believes that isolating Russia and the military operations in Ukraine have been a big mistake. He is quite candid. He openly admits that there is a problem in the Russian political system and that he is, to a certain extent, part of the problem. He doesn't think he will win, but he believes that what is going to be next for Russia depends on the outcome of the military operation. He is 60 years old, and according to him, he has been criticizing Putin for about 20 years and still proudly getting away with it. Next on the list is Leonid Slutsky. He is the leader of the Liberal Democratic Party in Russia. The Liberal Democratic Party of Russia, perhaps a bit confusingly, is a nationalist bordering on ultranationalist party, and it is Eurosceptic. It is pro a mixed economy, but with a strong state management. And Mr. Slutsky has a bit of a checkered history. In 2017, Mr. Polonsky said that Mr. Slutsky had suggested that gifting a mansion to his wife would clear the way for Mr. Polonsky's development project. Sergei Polonsky lodged an official complaint, but nothing came of it. Allegations of corruption popped up time and again over the years, but no action had been taken so far. By the same token, Mr. Slutsky has not had a chance to clear his name, which suggests to me that Mr. Slutsky is compromised and therefore can be leveraged. In 2018, he was accused of sexual harassment, but was later cleared by the State Duma Commission of Ethics. In 2016, Slutsky was appointed chairperson of the State Duma's Committee on International Affairs and worked to legitimate Russia's annexation of Crimea. And in 2022, he became a member of the Russian negotiating team following the invasion of Ukraine. Perhaps not the best choice if reconciliation had ever been on the agenda, in my opinion, of course. Another first-time runner is Vladislav Davankov, who, you may ask, along with millions of other Russians, Mr. Davankov is relatively unknown, and running for president is a good way to raise his profile and his party profile. He ran previously for mayor of Moscow and came up with eye-catching policies such as the Shawarma Standard or a Million IT Girls, which proposes to attract more women into the IT sector. He is the deputy chairman of the New People Party. The New People Party is a centre-rightish party advocating for less state involvement, a more capitalist economy, and some environmentally friendly policies. The party was officially founded by Alexei Nechayev, who, with Alexander Davankov, Vladislav's uncle, created Faberlic. It's a cosmetic, clothes, accessories and shoes company, of which Vladislav Davankov became vice president in 2013. He is the co-founder of Credit Center Microfinance, which, according to this article, has come under some scrutiny because of its high interest rates. The company mainly targets migrant workers. But so far, Mr. Davankov has been careful and has avoided compromising himself. He is 39 years old. Irina Svilidova, I haven't found much about her, and I presume she's relatively unknown. All I could find is that she's the candidate for the Democratic Party of Russia. The next two are independent and not career politicians as such. The first one is Rada Ruskik. She is a successful businesswoman. So far, her policy seems to focus on the environment and curbing Russian dependency on state support. The next one is Anatoly Batashev. He is a blogger, an environmental activist. From what I could find so far, he leans towards nationalism with a sprinkling of socialism. And now let's look at the current incumbent, President Putin, through the lens of opinion polls conducted by the Levada Center. The best indicators are Mr. Putin's own approval ratings and the respondents' support of how the country is being run. These are the results for December for approval ratings for Mr. Putin. Mr. Putin's approval ratings are steady above 80%, and if we look at the next graph, I would suggest that overall the majority of the respondents feel that Mr. Putin is steering the country in the right direction. To conclude, Mr. Putin is likely to be re-elected president of the Russian Federation. There don't seem to be any hints of major changes in domestic or foreign policies in his 2024 New Year's speech, but the election remains an unknown variable. It may lead first to an intensifying of fighting in Ukraine, as a landmark victory would always be helpful in an election year, and secondly, a deepening of Russia's self-imposed isolation, as nationalist propaganda gears up during the election campaigning, and this type of propaganda relies heavily on a them and us rhetoric. I have listed the links to the sources I've used in this video in the description below. The Python code for sourcing and graphing the data has not changed, and it's available on GitHub. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with Russia in Focus next month. The next video on the channel will be the second part of chapter 14 of the Gordian Knot, my spy and crime novel. I hope to see you then. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.